The Consumer Product Safety Commission estimates approximately 200,000 toy-related emergency department visits occur in the United States every year. At least 7 children have died from swallowing high-powered magnets, a product still being sold on Amazon in 2026 in violation of a mandatory federal safety standard, after the manufacturer refused to recall it. Today, 10 toys ranked. 5 whose dangers are documented in federal enforcement records. 5 whose safety is independently verified before a single unit ships. Starting at number 10, a toy the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends against placing in any home with children. In 10th place, home trampolines, marketed by Springfree, Skywalker, and Zupapa as the backyard activity that develops coordination, fitness, and family bonding. With enclosure systems positioned as the engineering solution to the category's known injury history, premium enclosure models retail between $400 and $2,500. Yet the American Academy of Pediatrics, in its clinical report, Trampoline Safety in Childhood and Adolescence, published in Pediatrics and reaffirmed in its most recent guidance update, states explicitly that home recreational trampolines should not be used by children. The AAP's position is not qualified by enclosure type or supervision level. The CPSC estimates approximately 100,000 trampoline-related injuries requiring emergency department treatment occur annually in the United States, according to its National Electronic Injury Surveillance System data. Fractures, dislocations, and head and neck trauma constitute the majority of documented injuries. The critical finding from injury pattern analysis: most injuries occur not from falls outside the enclosure, the hazard the premium enclosure is engineered to address, but from collisions between multiple users on the jumping surface and from falls onto the mat and spring system during use. Springfree, Skywalker, and Zupapa each market their enclosure systems as the defining safety differentiator. None of their marketing materials reference the AAP's categorical guidance against home use. The enclosure premium, the price difference between a basic model and an enclosure system, funds a design solution to the minority injury mechanism while the majority mechanism remains unaddressed. The verdict? You are paying for an enclosure engineered to prevent the less common injury, sold as a safety product that the American Academy of Pediatrics says does not make the activity safe. Number 9, DIY slime kits, sold by Elmer's under Newell Brands and by dozens of Amazon third-party sellers. Marketed as the hands-on chemistry activity that develops fine motor skills and introduces children to material science through tactile play. Kits retail between $10 and $30, yet sodium tetraborate, borax, the activating agent in standard slime formulations, was classified as a substance of very high concern by the European Chemicals Agency under Regulation EC No. 1907/2006. And the European Union formally restricted borax in consumer mixtures under Entry 1 of Annex 17 to REACH, citing reproductive developmental risks. The restriction applies specifically to products accessible to children. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission issued consumer safety alerts identifying children's craft slime products containing borax at concentrations exceeding safe dermal exposure thresholds. Children engage in extended slime play, the activity these kits are designed and sold to facilitate, absorb borax through prolonged skin contact. Documented clinical effects at cumulative exposures consistent with regular play include skin irritation, chemical burns, vomiting, and systemic effects reported to poison control centers. No equivalent U.S. federal standard currently prohibits borax in children's craft products. Newell Brands, which reported net sales of $7.6 billion in its 2023 annual filing, continues to distribute Elmer's borax-based slime kits in the U.S. market, while the EU restriction prohibits the same formulation from reaching European children's hands. The verdict: you are paying for a chemistry activity whose core activating ingredient is legally prohibited in children's products across the European Union, with no U.S. standard in place to stop it. 8th place, electronic toys powered by button cells or coin batteries, sold by unverified third-party sellers on Amazon, marketed as affordable musical learning aids, activity boards, and developmental toys for infants and toddlers, retailing between $5 and $20. The CPSC's mandatory safety standard for button cells and coin batteries in children's products, 16 CFR Part 1263, became effective June 21, 2024, requiring battery compartments to be secured against child access without a tool. The National Capital Poison Center documents more than 3,500 button battery ingestion incidents annually in the United States. The injury mechanism is specific and documented. When a lithium coin battery contacts esophageal tissue, the electrical current it generates triggers electrolysis, producing sodium hydroxide, a chemical burn that continues to destroy tissue even after the battery is removed. CPSC incident data includes cases in which this mechanism caused esophageal perforation, resulting in death within hours of confirmed ingestion. Amazon reported third-party seller services revenue of $140 billion in its 2023 annual report. Amazon's marketplace model permits third-party sellers to list products manufactured to non-compliant specifications without systematic pre-listing safety verification. The enforcement mechanism is post-injury CPSC complaint filing, not pre-sale compliance screening. A product that kills a child through esophageal perforation may remain listed until someone files a report. The verdict: you are paying $9 for a product whose battery compartment may have been manufactured before or in violation of the mandatory federal standard. Sold on a platform that generated $140 billion from third-party listings, it does not pre-screen. Number 7. Water beads, sold by Orbeez under MGA Entertainment and by Buffalo Games under the Chuckle and Roar brand at Target, marketed as sensory play tools and tactile development aids for children. Frequently positioned as therapeutic aids for children with developmental disabilities. Water bead activity kits retail between $10 and $25. The CPSC documents nearly 7,000 water bead-related ingestion injuries treated in U.S. emergency departments from 2018 through 2022. On July 7, 2023, Esther Jo Bethard, a 10-month-old infant, died after ingesting a water bead from a Chuckle and Roar Ultimate Water Beads activity kit sold exclusively at Target. Buffalo Games recalled approximately 52,000 units following her death. The physical mechanism of harm is documented and specific. Water beads are composed of superabsorbent polymer that expands up to 100 times its original volume upon contact with fluid. Once ingested, expansion continues inside the gastrointestinal tract. Standard X-ray imaging frequently fails to detect them because the beads are composed primarily of water and are radiographically invisible. Surgical intervention to remove the obstruction may be required. In March 2024, the CPSC identified acrylamide, a known carcinogen whose concentration in the flagged water bead products violated the Federal Hazardous Substances Act, as a secondary hazard beyond the ingestion and expansion risk. CPSC Chairman Alex Hoehn-Saric stated at a November 2023 congressional press conference, "It is far too easy for beads to be lost, dropped, and a short time later a baby or small child ends up finding them, picking them up, and ingesting them." The CPSC urges parents to remove water beads from any environment where children are present. The verdict: you are placing a confirmed infant death, 7,000 emergency department visits, and a federally identified carcinogen on a playroom floor packaged as a sensory aid. In sixth place, the most egregious documented compliance failure in the children's toy market, high-powered magnetic ball sets, marketed across Amazon, Shein, and independent websites under dozens of brand names as desk fidget toys, STEM building sets, and creative play tools. Routinely accessible to children despite a mandatory federal safety standard explicitly prohibiting their design, these products retail between $9 and $30. The CPSC's mandatory safety standard for magnet sets, 16 CFR Part 1262, specifies a maximum flux index of 50 kg/m² for loose or separable magnets fitting within the CPSC small part cylinder. The documented physical consequence of a child swallowing 2 or more high-powered magnets is precisely characterized. The magnets attract each other through intestinal walls, causing perforations, twisting, and blockage requiring emergency surgical intervention. The CPSC is aware of 7 deaths since 2005 involving hazardous magnet ingestion and estimates 2,400 magnet ingestion incidents were treated in emergency departments from 2017 through 2021. 3 separate CPSC enforcement actions document a sustained active violation pattern. In February 2024, Magnetic Fidget Balls was issued a notice of violation for products sold at magneticfidgetballs.com. The firm refused to recall. In November 2025, Shantou Huihuan Toys Co. Limited was cited for magnetic building sets sold through Shein.com. The firm was unresponsive to CPSC requests. In March 2026, Top Magnets was cited for magnetic stick figure sets sold through Amazon.com, approximately 7,923 units. The firm did not respond. 3 separate manufacturers, 3 separate platforms, 3 separate years, 3 separate refusals to cooperate, the same mandatory federal standard violated each time. This is not a product category lacking regulation. It is a product category where the regulation exists, is being systematically violated, and continues to reach children because the platforms processing the transactions bear no presale compliance obligation. The verdict: you are paying $10 for a product whose manufacturer was formally notified of a federal safety violation, refused to recall it, and left it listed for sale. Number 5. Green Toys, a California-based manufacturer, eliminates the hazard architecture that defines every entry in the first half of this countdown. Not through a testing protocol applied to a potentially dangerous material, but through material selection that removes the hazard before a design decision is made. Green Toys products retail between $15 and $35. The markup lands at approximately 2 to 3 times the production cost. Reflecting a manufacturing model built on a documented material choice, every Green Toys product is manufactured from 100% recycled high-density polyethylene, HDPE number 2, sourced from post-consumer milk jugs, at a production facility in the United States operating under California's strict consumer product safety and environmental regulations. No paint is applied to any Green Toys product, no metal fasteners, no external coatings. The safety profile is not the output of a testing protocol applied to a hazardous material and found to be within limits. It is the output of material selection that eliminates the hazard class. Green Toys published safety documentation confirms compliance with ASTM F963, EN71, ISO 8124, and the Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act. BPA and phthalates are absent by material composition. HDPE does not contain them, not by remedial testing exclusion. For consumers, the safety case is structural. A product cannot leach surface coatings because it has none. It cannot present a metal ingestion hazard because it contains no metal. The elimination is upstream of the risk, not downstream of it. Number 4, Melissa & Doug takes a direct approach to wood sourcing transparency in a toy category where raw material origin is almost never disclosed before purchase. Melissa & Doug wooden toys retail between $15 and $60. The company's 2023 sustainability documentation states that 100% of its 2023 innovation products and paper products are manufactured using FSC-certified materials, Forest Stewardship Council certification, that verifies responsible forest management and chain of custody documentation from forest to finished product. FSC certification number C156584 is a matter of public record. The Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act compliance documentation is maintained and accessible to CPSC agents and U.S. Customs and Border Protection. No phthalates, no BPA. Since 2021, the company has eliminated over 3.5 million pounds of packaging material documented in its annual sustainability reporting. In partnership with Veritree, a science-based, independently verified reforestation platform, Melissa & Doug is restoring 10 million trees, equivalent to the timber resources its products consume. Every stated compliance claim, FSC certification, CPSIA status, ASTM F963 compliance, is a matter of independently verifiable public record. The parent verifying the claim does not have to take the company's word for it. For consumers, the transparency is pre-purchase and independently verifiable. The FSC certification number is searchable, the CPSIA compliance documentation exists in the Federal Registry, and the material origin is disclosed on the company's own product pages. Number 3, KiwiCo, a subscription-based STEM toy company, eliminates the most common failure mode in the children's toy market through a mechanism that makes dangerous products architecturally impossible to ship. Age-specific developmental engineering that determines component selection before a single piece is ordered. KiwiCo subscription boxes retail between $20 and $30 per month. The product range runs from the Panda Crate, engineered for ages 0 to 2, through the Eureka Crate, engineered for ages 14 and above. Every crate is tested to ASTM F96323, the current U.S. mandatory toy safety standard. The design consequence of the age gating system is significant and specific. The small parts hazard responsible for the deaths documented in entries 6 and 7 of this countdown. The mechanism that makes a magnet or a water bead lethal to an infant cannot reach a Panda Crate subscriber. The kit was engineered from initial component selection to contain no element that presents a small parts choking or ingestion hazard to a child in the 0 to 2 developmental window. The age gating is not a label warning, it is a documented engineering constraint applied before the product exists. KiwiCo has shipped more than 40 million boxes since its founding in 2011, according to the company's published operational data. For consumers, the safety value is documented at the design stage. The age-appropriate developmental engineering is the pre-sale safety screening that the Amazon Marketplace does not provide. Number 2, Haba. Habermas GmbH, founded in Bad Rodak, Germany in 1938, manufactures children's toys to concurrent European and American safety standards. With material and surface coating transparency that the majority of U.S. toy brands do not publish, Haba products retail between $20 and $80. Every Haba toy sold in the European Union carries CE marking under EN71, the European Toy Safety Directive, a regulatory framework that, in chemical migration categories including heavy metal limits in surface coatings, sets stricter thresholds than ASTM F963 in several sections. Every Haba product sold in the United States additionally carries CPSIA compliance documentation. The surface coatings applied to Haba wooden products are water-based, with non-toxicity documented to EN 71.3 standards, the section governing migration of chemical elements from toy materials into the body. Haba's timber supply is sourced from PEFC-certified forests, the program for the endorsement of forest certification, with chain of custody documentation from the forest to the finished product. A search of the CPSC recall database returns no product recalls for Haba in the United States. For consumers, the dual standard compliance, EN71 plus ASTM F963 simultaneously, means the product has passed 2 independent regulatory frameworks, with different chemical threshold methodologies and different testing protocols, not one framework applied once. And finally, in first place, LEGO delivers a level of pre-purchase safety documentation that stands alone in the global toy industry, not as a claim made on packaging, but as a publicly accessible compliance record available to any parent before a transaction is completed. LEGO products retail between $10 and $800 depending on set complexity. Every LEGO product sold in the United States carries a children's product certificate, downloadable at lego.com compliance, listing the independent third-party laboratory that performed the testing, the specific test date, the standards tested against, and the production facility of manufacture. The third-party laboratory for U.S. market LEGO products is Bureau Veritas Hong Kong Ltd, an accredited independent testing organization. The standards applied simultaneously to each product include ASTM F96323, CPSIA Section 101, 16 CFR Part 1307, 16 CFR Part 1303, Canada Toys Regulations, Canada Phthalates Regulations, and Consumer Products Containing Lead Regulations. LEGO has maintained 0 product recalls since 2009, a record documented on the company's public sustainability page. The company's quality control protocol begins at raw material selection, a complete ingredient inventory for every raw material and decoration ink used in every LEGO element, reviewed against official hazard classification databases. Chemical migration testing simulates children subjecting elements to sweat and saliva. LEGO Duplo elements undergo a bite force test at 22.5 kilograms, equivalent to a child's documented jaw force, to verify that no element detaches during play. For parents, this is the rare case where the safety documentation, the third-party laboratory, the test date, the specific standards tested, and the production facility are all publicly available before purchase. Not on request, not following a CPSC complaint. By default, at lego.com chart compliance. Across all 5 dangerous entries, one mechanism is consistent: the absence of independent pre-sale safety verification, combined with a retail platform that processes the transaction regardless of what it delivers. In children's toys, educational, STEM, and sensory development are unregulated marketing terms that require no safety substantiation before they appear on a label. The CPSC Recall Database, the ASTM F963 Children's Product Certificate, and the EN71 Compliance Record are not marketing terms. They are public documents. Check those before the packaging.